All right, guys, you honestly don't know what I'm feeling right now in my heart. I am super excited to be back. I'm going to unload everything that's in my head, in my heart. I'm going to lead you down a path that many of you may not even thought of. And hopefully we all come out on the other side with a big smile on our face, especially on the other side of that door outside, even a bigger smile using all the best equipment in the world. So the world's finest Swiss manufactured cream of the crop and then some is officially here in number in the UK. I would hazard a guess we're probably, in terms of the pressure washing, car washing side, we've imported the most out of anyone in the UK, hell, even Europe. So obviously, as if you don't know, Mosmatic is the very best stainless steel manufacturer of pressure washing parts in the world. Nobody comes unmatched. Of course, there are some very good alternatives, mainly from Italy. However, when it comes to hooking up your gun, whether it's lances or hose connections, Mosmatic, are the champions by many hurdle lengths. So we've took a big punt with Mosmatic. It's very expensive. I truly believe it's going to last you a lifetime. So you are investing into an ideology that I try and bring to you at all times and say, look, you buy once and you forget about it. I'm going to talk you through all the different fittings. We're going to kind of go in depth and where I believe you should start if you're watching this and you've got a Karcher K2 or you've got a Krenzler or you've got any machine. I'm going to talk you through all the major solutions that you can have. But of course, I always try and push people towards the ultimate solution because that means you buy less of these fittings over time because you have to modify your gun less times. And I want to talk to you about a term which I use all the time with our customers. As you know, if you rang us about anything pressure washing related, you will know that I straight away use the word industry standard in terms of fitting lengths, threads. Is it 3/8? Is it ½ inch? Is it 1/4 inch? So all these things, if you don't know what you're talking about, is very confusing. So I'm going to start with how you would start to build out your connection. So obviously from the hose first, you need to go and get yourself a gun. Now, if you can, and this is again, take this as you may, read between my lines. I'm not saying go and do it, but if you can, go and do it. If funds allow, try and keep yourself away from the likes of, the Karchers, the Nilfisks, and all the other brands because they use what's called an industry standard. Not industry standard. They use a proprietary connection. So whether it's Karcher or Nilfisk, every 2.5, 3 models, they'll change the tolerance level of that connection. It'll go thicker, thinner, etc. So with guns, you will see these big, bulky Karcher connections. And say you've got a Karcher K4, it burns out after 2 years, if you're lucky. And then you may have to go and buy, say, another Karcher K4, but unbeknown to you, the hose connections, so the outlet of the hose that will plug into the bottom of the gun, may have slightly changed. The connection hasn't changed, but they might have changed the tolerance, or even as simply as an O-ring change may have happened. And all of a sudden, all of this kit to you think, oh my God, I've lost all my money. You technically haven't, but it then becomes a little bit more difficult to kind of customize your setup. So if you can, I always say this, Krenzler, who have been obviously the industry leader in these things for a very long time. This hose is an M22 14 millimeter, which is just nice. It hasn't changed forever. It still has its upsides, it has its downsides, but this connection, you would take your larger gun, the standard gun, and you would thread it in, right? And then you would have to release the pressure and put it away, and it's huge and all that type of stuff. Now imagine you take this gun and it's got no connection, and look, it won't fit in. So the first thing you do, you've got a Mosmatic 3/8 M22 14 millimeter coupler. See, this is called the male thread. So as you could see, the male side is protruding. What you would do is to take this from your standard screw or plug connection. In this case, it's a screw connection. You would take this, as you've seen this already on the machine. I would recommend that you do 7 rows of PTFE tape. Use the most high quality PTFE because it degrades less with water. And you will torque it down. Again, I'm only doing half a screw here, so I don't damage the thread. So you would take it in, you would torque it down. I wouldn't recommend using anything like Loctite or anything like this in this application, because if you do need to change the hose or the coupler, you don't want it kind of to be stuck too much, because when you start taking the spanners or adjustable spanners, it's a lot harder to grip this hose. So you have all of a sudden, now I'm going to use this term, industry standard. You have transferred what already is a fantastic connection hose to an industry standard hose. So what you then get, before moving to the next fittings, is, can you remember I showed you couldn't screw it and you've got to do all that type of stuff? You've got yourself the best. The fact that you've got industry standard and Mosmatic playing together, look at that. Beautiful. You'll release the pressure after you turn the water off, take it off, you store it away, and you ravel up the hose. So the coupler itself is very important. If you've got a 14mm outlet on the hose, which is female threaded, you can get yourself, there's only 2 really. The majority of the machines, unless you go really wacky, is either 14mm or 15mm. Now Krenzer, luckily for me, got a 14mm connection, so you can get a 14mm coupler. If it has a 15mm thread, you take a 15mm coupler. So it basically really doesn't matter because the outlet connection is still the same. Now this coupler is a £50 option. It's not cheap, but like I said to you, couplers are usually disguised as consumable connections because you pull it. So within there, you've got ball bearings, you've got O-rings. So if you don't look after these things, eventually this is designed to, at some point, take this lightly, is designed to fail because of this action alone. However, if you look after it well, if you don't start just chucking it on the ground and dragging it and hitting it against brick walls, this will last you for many years. Now, when you're considering £50 every, say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I've still got my original Mosmatic connection from when I was testing it 2019. It's now what, 2023 almost. So it's lasted me a very long time, and it's got nowhere near kind of the longevity of where it can go. Now this connection, if you really want to splash your cash on something, this is where you go. I mean, it's a work of art. Just the way it grips, the way it snaps, and just even the way it can, I mean, obviously it's harder to do it off the hose. Just obviously imagine that'll be your hose. It just looks phenomenal. Now, once you convert your hose to an industry standard connection, you've really honestly got the one choice, which is always the best choice. So if this is a 3/8 coupler, again, if you're a bit more advanced in pressure washing, some of the terms I'm using, you think, come on, you know, I know all this, but there are some people who do not know, so I'm trying to dumb it down as best as I can. Within a coupler, you always have what's called a plug. A plug will always go into a coupler. So again, you've seen me just do it on the gun because that's my gun that's attached, but this is what a plug looks like. Now, if you look at the level of just precision on this plug, it's phenomenal. It's just fantastic. So you need a plug. Now, what you do, you will probably know that there are some companies out there who, for exclusivity reasons, will try and make you a gun that doesn't fit industry standard. Now, there is quite a well-known company within the UK that you know of that for some odd reason will take a Chinese gun, they'll make it at factory in China, and on the bottom of this, rather than, well, first of all, it's got no swivel, and on the bottom, what they'll do is they will attach a 1/4 inch on the inlet of a gun, a 1/4 inch coupler, so basically almost like this, but a 1/4 inch. And then the hose itself will have a 1/4 inch plug to plug in, and it's just like a weird quick release. I do not understand, because for the customer, if he ever wants to upgrade or change, he can't go to anybody else. He has to go to this company, who of course are not supplying him the very best in terms of the best stainless steel or anything like that. And you're kind of stuck. Now, this gun, I'm still, well, in fact, I haven't yet kind of built it up, but this is my prototype gun. I will explain this in a bit. But as you look, it'll be easier for you to see. On this gun, you've got what's called a swivel. So under pressure, this will always move, as you can see, which means if your hose does get tangled, it will not tangle. And within here, you see a female threaded option. Now, with a female threaded option, you take a male thread like this. As you can see, that's going to go like this. Again, I've got no tape, so I'm not going to, tear the living hell out of it. But as you can see, you can take it in. Just look at the way that goes even without tape. It's just a thing of beauty. So you do that, and all of a sudden you have got yourself a quick release configuration. Now, if anybody's looking at how easily this slides in, I will explain this in a second, because some fittings don't fit in as well as this. So in terms of the 3/8 plug, this will go on the inlet of the gun. It cannot go anywhere else. You really cannot get confused. This will then clip into the coupler, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a quick release configuration to the gun. Now, unless you have bought a gun elsewhere, so imagine you have got yourself, whether it be a Mosmatic gun with lesser connections, because there are people out there who do that. You've got an MTM SGS 28, you've got an MTM SGS 35, or any industry standard gun from the top 2 manufacturers in the world, but you have got crappy fittings, let's say. So imagine this is that gun. You can literally come into our store, online, in store, whichever way is easier. You can pick yourself up a 3/8 plug, a 1/4" coupler, which I'm about to move on to next, and you've got yourself the very best kind of gun setup in terms of stainless steel in the world. Now, on the outlet of the gun, everything on the outlet, whatever anybody says, it is a 1/4" fitment. So when you buy foam cannons, why do you think the quick release plug's always 1/4"? Because that's the way it should be. So on my gun again, you've got this time a 1/4" coupler. It looks like this, and this is the part that you will probably touch the most, because you're always putting on a lance, taking it off, putting it back on, So this part, in terms of hand time, is where you get the most kind of attention with, and that's where you touch it. Now, in terms of the 1/4" plug itself, now this is our version 2, of course. This is now a 1-piece connection, so there's one less failure point. So in the past, if you remember, we had the 2, but on this one, you've got the 1. Just to finish, I'm telling you guys, this is the Bugatti of fittings. Now, this will go on the outlet of your gun, like this. Like I said, everything's always 1/4", and that's where you're going to put your foam cannon, you're going to put your lance, and that's how you spray. And then the final piece, in terms of the independent fittings that you can outfit your accessories with, is the 1/4" plug again, because a 1/4" plug will always go into a 1/4" coupler, like this. Obviously it looks a bit weird now because it's not hooked up to anything, but imagine this would be a foam cannon, anything like that. Now, 1/4". 1/4" is industry standard for anything that will normally clip into your gun. You're talking lancers, you're talking foam cannons, turbo nozzles, tips, anything is usually a 1/4" quick release. Now, if you, again, I'm going to give you the same spec. If you've got an MTM foam cannon that you bought elsewhere with an NPT fitting, let's say, that sticks out a little bit, or you've got any other foam cannon, even a 10-pound foam cannon, an Amazon special from Amazon, and you just want to add a bit of finesse to your arsenal, all you've got to do is buy a 1/4" plug. As you see, again, this is my foam cannon. You put it into there, 7 wraps of PTFE, torque it down, it just fits right up to the butt, so it's nice. And then all of a sudden what you're going to have is, when you're foaming things, all you've got to do, poof, bang. There we go, nice and short, no heaviness, no messing around. But the beauty, if you want to try and keep everything Mosmatic, is the integration and the way the precision that Mosmatic is made with, is that everything just clips in and plays together nicely. Not saying that other things won't play together nicely, but when you've got two precise items rather than one precise and one very good one, two precision items obviously work a lot better. So as I said, this is my gun. This is the Ultimate Gun V2. This is a collaboration between 3 countries excluding the UK, which is obviously me. So Italy, America, and now Switzerland. So as you can see, I told you, I was not lying to you. Look at this gun. This is my personal gun. And I've looked everywhere. I don't think there's a ding on it yet. 6-7 months, looks beautiful. Again, because I look after these things. I wipe this down every time. I wipe all the fittings. I wipe the gun body. Not a single scratch on the gun. This, honestly, right now, in terms of the design, I mean, even with this gun, personally, I'm going to reveal what this gun is, but even with this gun, you can just tell the integration of the design. This is heavier, this is lighter. I believe the trigger is very nice. So, as a kit from us, you can buy individual parts. You can buy the Ultimate Gun on its own, obviously with the fittings pre-attached. So anything that comes from us, you will have it taped, torqued, glued, depending on the spec of it, again, where the part is going. But the gun will be empty like this, and we'll take the greatest care to put the right fittings on for you. So when you do get it at your home, all you've got to do is take it out the box and off you go, ready to fire it. And then a few things moving away from the fittings. In fact, the one more thing I'll talk about the fittings is all of these fittings, again, they are custom made. So I cannot ring Mosmatic and say, can I have 40 of these, 30 of them, and they will literally ship it within 24 hours, because they do not. That's their company ethos. Even though this is, let's call it a standard item, they still make to order every single item, which I like about that, because one, it's not sitting on the shelf, it couldn't be dropped and damaged. So I know when this item gets shipped to me, like one person has only touched this, it hasn't been sat on the shelf for 8 months. And you know from us as well, that this item has only been, touched by me, talked by me. So it's, you're adding to that finesse, as I keep saying, of buying such a, exclusive item. And because they are custom made, Mosmatic, especially on my first order, there was a lot of drawings involved, and they said, do you want it this way or do you want it that way? Now, these threads, so every single one of these threads, as per my choice, I've decided to take this to a G thread. These are G threaded fittings rather than R threaded fittings. Now, the reason we went for a G thread is I've gone for something down the middle rather than something too exclusive. And the thing is, because of that, is I realize that, of course, I want you to buy this all from me. I'm giving you all this value through video. I know what I'm talking about more than anybody in England or the UK knows what they're talking about. However, I do realize that you may go and buy an SGS 35 or a different style gun from somebody else. And because of this, I've decided to go for a G-threaded style fitting or fitment, because I know there will be no compatibility issues. So for example, this gun, even though it's made to an American spec, as you can see, even with the glue there, can you see there's a bit of protrusion within the thread, okay? Whereas you saw me quite obviously screw this in with no tape, no glue, and it went all the way in. Now, that's because the gun, this specific gun, is actually imported from the US. So it's got an NPT inlet, and these aren't NPT rated. It's just a conical thread versus a straight thread. So I thought, okay, let's make everything as industry standard as possible and give everybody the opportunity to experience what I experienced, what maybe somebody else can experience through the camera. So these are all G-threaded fittings. You can rest assured if you've got an industry standard swiveling high quality gun, which is a 3/8 fitment, which MTM and Mosmatic are, you can buy any one of those guns and you can basically, like a menu, pick whichever item you wish, token in at, at your own home, and you're good to go. Now, another great addition, this is now, I would say, a version 3 lance for us. This is the Mosmatic lance. Now, this lance is a lot lighter than our version 2 lance. If you remember on the version 2 lance, we had a Mosmatic fitting on here as well, and a Mosmatic fitting on there as well. However, just the shape of it is slightly different. It's a lot lighter, so it's almost like a wand. You can go and start swinging this around more at will. And in terms of the handle itself, the actual heat, I say heat proof very lightly, but if you are using warm water, the actual plastic gripped handle is just a lot nicer. As you can see, the finish on this is very nice. Now, the purpose of this, not everybody uses a shotgun setup. I know this has been idolized by, certain viral YouTubers. You can detail your car with a shotgun, which you can. I sometimes, if I wish, I'll just wash the entire car with this. But if you want to kind of reach the roof, or you want to stand back a bit, or if you want to do a bit of arch work, again, as I said, 1/4 inch goes into here. I mean, the setup is still very light, and this is beautiful. Now, what goes either on the outlet of the gun or the outlet of the lance is, of course, some sort of pressurized tip. Now, you've all seen the multicolored MTM nozzles. We've completely pretty much discontinued them now. We've just ran down all the orifice sizes, and I think there's like 4.5 or 4.5, 5 and 5.5 orifice sizes left. But we've exclusively moved over again to Mosmatic. This is a very, very expensive part. This, I believe, is £45. And people think, Jesus Christ, it's very, very expensive. Why do I need this? 1, it looks nice. 2, it functions very nicely in terms of the functionality of all the fittings. And 3, the insert tip itself. Now, the insert is stainless steel, and it's got the truest 40-degree or 25-degree, but in this case 40-degree fan pattern that you will ever see. Now, you've seen the pictures of me using it, or the videos of me using it, and you know how many emails I got because of that video. People are like, Jesus Christ, Nick, what are you using? This. Now, the fan pattern is very important to me because you'll see the cheaper alternatives out there. They'll have a nice wide fan pattern, don't get me wrong, but if you want that true huge fan, because you can rinse the whole wheel, almost at once, it's almost less work for you because the fan pattern carries more over the car. Now, this is our version 2 nozzle assembly. You can either clip it into the lance like this, or if you wish, how some people want to do it, is they're going to take the nozzle assembly and they're going to do it exclusively via a shotgun configuration. Now, as I said, any configuration, seriously, do what floats your boat. Sometimes I can't use the lance, sometimes I can't use the shotgun setup, and I just chop and change. I mean, this is just really nice. It looks beautiful. Now, the nozzle assembly itself is fully rubberized. I mean, just look, like complete rubber. Now, again, these are metal cabinets. This will not harm anything. So if you do accidentally ding the car, the way that we've got this nozzle assembly spec'd, you can spec it in two different ways, I'm sorry. We've spec'd it to take the smaller the smaller threaded nozzle inside the nozzle assembly, so I can actually torque it down further. So it recesses within. Look, I'm just trying to catch it at an angle. See, it actually goes deeper into the actual rubberized part than actually protruding. So as I said, if you are going to hit something head on by accident, you are not going to cause any damage. Now, the nozzle assemblies, again, it's one of these things, because it is a one-piece designed piece of hardware. there's one less failure point. So, you know, in the past when you used to torque down the nozzle, you used to then torque down the 1/4-inch plug in here, and the more gaps you have in the bridge of connections, especially at high pressure, this is what a lot of people don't understand. If high pressure can find a pinprick hole somewhere, it will make its way out the pinprick hole. This is why sometimes you get the telltale, you know, like little fans if something's leaking. So because this has got less of one connection, it's all one piece, you've got one less failure point. Now, as I said in my previous videos, unless you run over this with some sort of tank or hit it with a nuclear weapon, it may still actually survive, but you get what I'm trying to say. This is indestructible. Now, this is a buy once, keep for a lifetime kind of type of item. I'll be very surprised if somebody can actually break this. Again, this is not a challenge to people. Probably somebody will start chucking against the wall, seeing how many times they can hit it. But this is just really nice. It looks nice. It's a lot shorter than our previous nozzle assembly. And just the compatibility, obviously, 1/4-inch coupler going into the 1/4-inch plug of the nozzle assembly is just very nice. And what we're going to be introducing, hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, is probably, this is the Rolls Royce of lance holders. Now look at the way that stainless has been finished down. This is actually the reason why I'm wearing gloves, because I don't want to put any finger marks on it. But Mosmatic, lovely. Again, if you really want to peel the sticker off, you can. This is my personal one, which I got from over there. I'm going to be attaching this to the wall, but basically the concept about this is you can have two versions of this. You can have a floor mounted one where it sticks up, or you can have a wall mounted one. Again, it comes pre-soldered onto the main body. You just take the appropriate screws for your wall surface and you would put it on like this. And the whole purpose of a lance holder like this is when you want to store your gun and lance kit, I would recommend that you actually have the nozzle assembly on, because you're not having any metal to metal contact otherwise. Basically what you're going to do is imagine it's mounted against your wall. You can literally, look at that. Then you take it out and it's done, okay? It sounds like you were drawing a sword. Yeah, so we're going to be introducing these hopefully in a couple of weeks' time. We have took as much as Mosmatic, with the current little shortage that they currently have going on, would allow us. So I can anticipate these lance holders. One, obviously I'm not going to reveal the price of this on here, because it can always be subject to change. But they're not going to be cheap. So you're looking in the 3 figures, so you know, over £100. But once again, I mean, you've got to buy this. So you've got more of a chance of this lance outliving you and your children than anything else happening. So this is definitely an investment that I would recommend. If you like to store everything nice, I mean, once I film you in a couple more videos time, that wall over there, this will make more sense to you. The wall is actually completed. It's just I'm keeping that for a special time. It will make sense if you want everything, you know, perfection, laser aligned, this lance is for you. And it just keeps everything in a nice organized fashion. It's got a drain hole as well here at the bottom. So obviously your lance will always carry, or your tips will always carry excess water for the next hour or two, you know, as they're draining out. So this hole is not going to hold any moldy water. It's just going to drain straight out. And like I said, I have been testing this gun. They've sent this to me, or I will be testing is a much better word for this. Now, I need to make my judgment on this. They've just sent this to us saying, look, we've listened to all your feedback over the years and we've made, you know, a specific trigger action to your liking, because in the past the guns had a double click, whereas with this, as you can see, it's a pinky job. The same as my ultimate gun. Now this is still my crown jewel. I still think this design is so much better, and whoever watches this video, you know, in either department, you know, can take it even from me now. It will take me a lot of sway to move on to something like this, a lot of sway. The swivel is, again, it's just like butter. So look at that. very soft. And again, this is not even being used, so you know, once it starts to loosen up even more, it will be even better. But again, as you've seen clearly, I haven't even tucked any fittings into this. You may see me in the future using this gun for some prolonged feedback. But yeah, they've just sent me this gun out of the kindness of their own heart. It's an expensive gun even without the fittings. But that's the Mosmatic line for now. We'll probably, depending on how I build my wash bay area outside, whether I install a boom pole, which is a Mosmatic boom pole, who knows, whether we start going down the floor cleaner route, whether it be in here or undercarriage cleaners. Now, that's what Mosmatic are very well known for, especially in Europe. Their professional car washing equipment is famed. So whether I move into that, I don't know. I want to secure down the market first that I'm comfortable with. I know what I'm talking about in terms of fittings. I can help more people, because a lot more people will want a gun or whatever, like a foam cannon upgrade or a lance upgrade, rather than a £3,500 boom pole. That kind of is for the niche people, but we're already getting requests for this, so, which is a very humbling thing to do when people ring up and say, can you source me a single-headed boom pole, a dual-headed boom pole, can you get me an undercarriage cleaner? So those calls are coming through, and we are considering all options at the minute. But this is my Mosmatic first video introduction. I'm going to use this video on all the fittings pages rather than giving you a real deep dive on each individual fitting, because I think a lot of people will probably not be interested. They just want a quick rundown. But this is my introduction to Mosmatic, guys. We've took a massive gamble with this. Some of these are 8 to 10x in price over your traditional fittings. So if you are in the market for the very best, whether it be one plug or the whole gun and lance kit, which currently are extremely popular, so thank you very much. But our gun and lance kits are going very well. And if you're not sure, just call, email, whichever way you want to be, whether you're forward facing or backwards facing in terms of the communication channels. We're very helpful. So like I said, if you want to upgrade your system to the very best that money can buy, this here, in whatever configuration you choose, currently is the very best that money can buy. So I'm very proud of this. It's, I would say, in my eyes, depending on who you look at, but in my eyes, this is quite a small selection for now. But like I said, I always try and sell the dream. You get your foot through the door, and then hopefully eventually the door opens a little bit further and then a little bit further. So don't be surprised to see more niche things appearing kind of from us. But for now, this is 100% guaranteed to be the mainstay of our line, because this can be integrated to 100% of the industry. And pretty much all manufacturer of pressure washing, if you just need to do a little bit of tweak. So hope you've enjoyed the mini deep dive. I'm super pumped. I can't wait, guys. Again, I always look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments below. So do let me think what you think. Which one do you think looks the fanciest? I've got my favorite, which is the 1/4-inch coupler. Just for reference, if you're not sure what that one is, this is my ultimate favorite fitting out the line so far. And it's actually not the most expensive one. It's quite close. It's the second most expensive, but that's my favorite. Just let me know in the comments, what do you think? Good gamble, bad gamble? And yeah, just take it from me. I'm excited to be back, and just be ready for the content to be flowing thick and fast from now on. Once again, thank you so much, guys. I love you all.